I moved them in during the heat of June. The valley sun beat down across my property's red dirt driveway, turning every morning into a furnace. The stucco walls of the house glowed pale orange. Cacti stood rigid in the yard, spines sharp and unyielding, as if the land itself mirrored my hope for a new life with them. Melissa's children, Connor and Haley, came with boxes, eyes darting, voices low. My own son, Jaden, followed behind, clutching a battered backpack. I watched them cross the threshold of my home, a house that had once been my sanctuary. Now it would be theirs too, whether they accepted it or not. I told myself over and over, be different, be generous, be patient. In my quiet hours, I carried memories of my father's absence, the coldness I felt day after day. I swore I would be nothing like him. I would be the stepfather I never had. I would give more than I got. In those first few days, I rearranged rooms. I painted walls a neutral cream. I bought new mattresses, fresh linens. I built a game room in the basement, video console, bean bags, a mini fridge stocked with sodas and snacks. My idea. A place for them to gather, to see I was offering more than just a roof. I drove them to practice, sat through dance recitals, cheered in the bleachers. I arranged weekend hiking and camping. I surprised them with little gifts, candles scented with vanilla, wireless earbuds, a new basketball. I told them, this is ours now. But despite every effort, the seams were fraying from day one. Connor was sullen. Haley watched me like I was an intruder, lips tight, arms folded. Jaden hovered, uncertain, trying to read the air between me and his new siblings. At dinner, I'd ask about their day. Connor would shrug, stare at his plate. Haley would roll her eyes. Jaden's voice stayed in the shadows. I remember the first real crack. I had trimmed the hedges out front and left clippings on the driveway. Next morning, I asked one of them to help sweep. Connor turned his head away and muttered under his breath. Felt small but weighty. I asked him again, more clearly. He glared. You weren't born here, he said. You don't know anything. I tried to correct him. I'm your stepdad. You're a part of this family now. But his face didn't soften. He just turned and walked into the house without attacking, without a fight. Melissa stood at the counter, silent. I swallowed the hurt. I told myself it was teenage rebellion, that beneath it was fear or confusion. I blamed the distance on time. I began keeping a journal in my bedside drawer, writing each spat, each rebuff, each cold shoulder. I documented it not for proof, but as a reminder to myself, keep trying. I would lie awake in the dark, staring at the ceiling, counting mistakes and victories. I would remind myself of the promises I made. One evening, I cleared the table and asked them all to help with dishes. I smiled when I caught a flicker of compliance from Haley. Connor remained at the couch, fingers scrolling his phone. Jaden stood awkwardly, glancing between me and the kitchen sink. I said gently, it helps when we all chip in. Haley got up and joined me. Connor didn't move. I did not push. On another afternoon, I knocked on Connor's bedroom door. He answered, expression sharp. I said, I'd like to talk. He crossed his arms. What is there to talk about? He said. Just how you feel, what you want. He sneered. I don't want anything to do with you. The door clicked shut. I felt it then, the false peace, the quiet, the emptiness behind their eyes, the polite words during dinners, the nods in the morning. They were veneers. I was the guest in my own house. They accepted the setting but not the actor. I would come home from work, long hours, overtime, only to step through the door into a household of ghosts. To call out greetings, echoes answered. I'd lay out snacks. I'd arrange a family movie night. The silence would grip around me. When I tried to reach out, I felt the walls push back. Melissa tried. She asked Connor to do chores. She asked Haley to help. She asked Jaden to speak. But every request seemed to evaporate in air before it traversed their lips. The tension hung in every corner, kitchen, hallway, living room. At night, I'd slip into an armchair in the dark and stare at photographs on my phone. Pictures of my son, pictures of me and Melissa before the children arrived. I wondered if love alone could build a home. I wondered whether I was fooling myself with hope. Sometimes I told Melissa, I feel like I'm intruding. She would squeeze my hand but say nothing. The silence between us grew. Then came the night that changed the rhythm entirely. It was fall, still hot. I was cooking dinner, grilled chicken, steamed vegetables, rice. I put on soft music, folded the napkins just so. For once, everyone arrived at the table. The air held some hope. Halfway through the meal, I asked, Connor, can you fetch the salad from the counter? He looked at me, then at the plate, then back. He said loudly, or what? I tried to keep my voice steady. Just pass it. He slammed his hand on the table. Plates rattled. You're not the boss of me, he said. The words hit deep. I froze. Melissa rose to her feet. Haley gasped. Jaden looked away. Connor left the table, fists clenched. The last shred of false peace shed itself that moment. I sat at the table a long time after they walked away. The lights felt too bright, the walls too close, the silence too loud. When I finally stood, I collected the dishes slowly. My hands shook. My heart pounded. The house felt alien, hollow, two-toned. My love on one side, their rejection on the other. In that fracture, I realized kindness and effort might build bridges, but only if the other side is willing to cross. I had given everything I had, and yet I was invisible in my own home. I fell asleep that night fully awake, thinking. The peace I believed was real was nothing but a veneer. It would crack. It would bleed. It began with glances. Not the kind that dart and disappear, but the kind that linger. The kind meant to cut. Connor would stare straight through me when I spoke. His face frozen in that smirk teenage boys wear when they know no consequence is coming. Haley started imitating it, mirroring his posture, parroting his sarcasm. I became a caricature to them, a man who gave but didn't matter. Jaden noticed it. My boy, my blood. He'd shrink into himself at the dinner table, shoulders curling inward, eyes dropping to his plate. They didn't just disrespect me. They humiliated him, too, by extension. He bore it in silence, the way quiet children do, the ones who see more than they say. I remember one night in particular. I'd made dinner, slow-cooked brisket, mashed potatoes, grilled corn. The kitchen had smelled like effort, the kind of effort you put in for people you love. We sat at the table, plates full. Haley poked her food with her fork, then turned to Melissa. Is this safe to eat? She said. Melissa blinked. Of course it is. Haley grinned, that smug teenage twist. I meant, like, he didn't mess it up or something, right? She nodded toward me. Connor laughed. A short, sharp sound. Yeah. Wouldn't want food poisoning from mom's customer. Jaden's fork froze halfway to his mouth. Melissa's hand twitched. I looked at her, expecting something. Anything. A rebuke. A look. A whisper of correction. But she just offered a faint smile, said, That's enough, and kept eating. It wasn't enough. Not even close. Later that night, I found Jaden in his room, sitting at the edge of his bed. The door was half shut. He didn't hear me at first. I watched him for a moment. His shoulders were stiff. He stared at the floor like it had betrayed him. When I stepped in, he looked up, eyes red. Not crying, just tired of holding it in. They make me feel like I don't belong, he whispered. I didn't have a good answer. Just pulled him into my chest and held him there. That should have been the final straw. But it wasn't. I kept trying. I bought Connor a car. A beat-up sedan, but reliable. Something he could take to school, to work, to start his own life. I handed him the keys with pride, thinking maybe, just maybe, this would crack the ice. He looked at the car, then back at me. What's the catch? No catch, I said. Just responsibility. Guess. Maintenance. Chores, maybe. He nodded slowly, then smirked. So basically, you're buying my attention. I wanted to scream. Instead, I said, I'm trying. He shrugged. Well, try harder. He drove off with Jaden in the passenger seat. My son looked back once through the rear window. A small wave. Then they turned the corner, and the silence returned. Weeks passed. Melissa kept saying, "They'll come around." I kept asking, "When?" But no answer ever came. Just soft excuses. "They're teenagers. They're adjusting. It's just a phase." But it wasn't a phase. It was a pattern, a disease, and I had funded it. Then came the mirror. I was home from work. Long day, triple-digit heat, sweat clinging to my spine. I pulled into the driveway and saw it right away. The passenger side mirror on Connor's car shattered. Glass scattered like teeth on the concrete. A spiderweb of damage like someone had punched it. He was on the porch, slumped in a chair, scrolling his phone. I got out. "What happened to the mirror?" He didn't look up. "I hit something." "What?" "Trash can. Maybe a mailbox. I don't know." "Connor, that mirror's shattered." He finally met my eyes, deadpan. "Cool. So fix it." That word, fix, like I was a mechanic. Like I existed only to correct his carelessness. I tried to stay calm. "This is your responsibility." He stood up, stretched. "Nah, man. You bought the car. You're the one who wants to play daddy." The words punched through me. "You're not a man," he added. "You're just a walking wallet." And that was it. No yelling. No breaking things. Just the sound of something ancient and quiet snapping inside me. I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't look at Melissa, who had stepped out onto the porch just in time to hear the tail end of it. I walked past them both. Into the house. Into the quiet. Into the office where the accounts lived. That night, I sat at my desk for hours. I opened every portal, tuition accounts, insurance policies, bank transfers, car registrations. I stared at the numbers. The sums. The silent evidence of my love. Connor's school tuition? My debit card. Haley's dance academy? My auto pay. Their health insurance? My payroll deduction. Phone bills, streaming subscriptions, grocery accounts, me. I clicked. Cancelled. Removed. Frozen. One by one. Then I listed the car for sale. Wrote the ad. Posted the photos. Left the keys on the table. Melissa came in around midnight. Her voice soft. "What are you doing?" "Cleaning up." "Are you angry?" "No. You're punishing them." I looked at her then. Really looked. "I'm stopping. That's all. I'm stopping." She didn't reply. She just stood there, like she was seeing the real shape of me for the first time. The next morning, a buyer showed up, looked over the car, asked a few questions, handed me cash. Connor came outside just as I signed the papers. "What the hell is this?" he snapped. "Selling the car." "You can't do that." "I can. And I did." "That's my car." "No. It was my gift. Now it's reclaimed." He turned to Melissa. "Are you just gonna let him do this?" She said nothing. Just watched me. Watched him. Watched the pieces she'd tried to juggle fall from the sky. Inside, I removed my name from every joint account. Every card she could reach for in silence. I left a single sheet of paper on the kitchen table. Bullet points, dates, effective cancellations. No anger. Just facts. When she came home from work, the house smelled like something final. She stood in the doorway. "What did you do?" "I stopped paying for disrespect." "Are you leaving?" "No. But you're..." "I'm done being used." Connor stood behind her, pale now. Not angry, just confused. "You're really cutting us off?" I nodded. "You made it clear I'm not a father. Just a wallet." So the wallet's closed. And it took the gas with it. No one spoke. Not Haley, who hovered in the hallway, eyes wide. Not Jaden, who looked at me with something between pride and sadness. Melissa tried to speak. "But we're a family." I looked at her then, and the silence between us felt heavier than it had ever been. "No," I said. "We're a transaction, and I've canceled my part of the deal." I didn't speak much after that. Not because I was angry, but because words had stopped mattering. Every explanation, every justification, every plea for unity had landed like feathers on concrete. Soft, weightless, ignored. I had learned the truth in the quiet. That's where it always lives. That week the house changed. Connor still stomped around, trying to look furious, but his noise meant nothing now. I no longer paid for the soundproofing of his rage. Haley flinched when she heard her brother shout. I saw it. She was starting to understand what silence actually costs. Melissa kept to herself, hovering between rooms, avoiding eye contact. I didn't pursue her. Let her sit with the version of me she helped create. I withdrew without packing a bag. I didn't leave the house, I just left the arrangement. I woke early, went to work, came home, made dinner for myself and Jaden. I left the others to figure out their own meals, their own bills, their own mirrors still shattered, still ignored. One by one, they discovered what absence tastes like. The Wi-Fi went out. Melissa asked if I'd called the provider. No, I said. She blinked. Can you? I'm not on the account anymore. Connor tried to drive Haley to school. Realized he no longer had insurance. Came home red-faced, muttering about stupid rules. I said nothing. I wasn't the one responsible for safety anymore. Jaden sat with me on the couch that night, bowl of cereal in his lap. They're freaking out, he said. I know. You're not going back? No. He nodded. Quiet approval. A child who had seen enough. That Friday, Haley missed dance class. The card on file declined. Melissa called the studio, apologized, then tried to reach me while I was at work. I let it ring. The voice messages were polite at first, then sharp, then silent. Saturday morning came. Connor stood in the kitchen when I walked in, arms folded, eyes dark. You sold my car. I sold my car. I corrected. That's stealing. No, that's reclaiming. He scoffed, trying to puff his chest. You're ruining everything. No, I said. You ruined it. I just stopped paying for the damage. He didn't respond, just turned and walked out. Melissa was on the phone in the other room. I heard her whispering about bank statements, frozen accounts, her voice breaking halfway through a sentence. She didn't confront me that day. She didn't have the words, or the moral ground. By Sunday, I noticed it, something shifting. Haley said thank you. It was small, uncertain, just a reflex after I passed her a glass of water. But it was the first thank you I'd heard in months. Jaden looked up at her. So did I. She blinked, then looked away. But the seed had been planted. That night, I stood at the kitchen sink, scrubbing a plate. Melissa entered slowly, bare feet on tile. We need to talk, she said. I dried my hands. We've done enough talking. But you didn't say anything. You just stopped. Exactly. She moved closer, arms crossed, the beginnings of tears. I didn't think it would go this far. It had already gone too far. She leaned against the counter, eyes tired. You're right. They were cruel. I didn't stop it. I should have. I didn't answer. Let the admission sit there. Raw. Ugly. True. But this, she continued, this feels like war. No, I said. This is retreat. War would have meant staying and trying to fix what couldn't be fixed. She wiped her eyes. I still love you. I nodded. But you didn't protect me from them, I said. You joined them in silence. She left the room without another word. That week, the school called. Connor had missed 2 payments for his online class materials. Melissa had to borrow from her sister. I didn't ask how that conversation went. I imagine it hurt. Haley's tablet stopped working. No warranty. No replacement. She stared at me from across the living room, holding the broken screen like a broken promise. I didn't flinch. Jaden did well on a quiz. I took him out for ice cream. Just the 2 of us. As we sat on the tailgate of my truck, spoons scraping against styrofoam cups, he said, It feels quieter at home. It is. I think they miss you, he added. They miss what I gave them, I said. That's not the same thing. He nodded. He understood. Of all of them, he always did. Midweek, Melissa tried again. A softer approach. She made dinner, set the table, invited me to sit. Connor and Haley were already there, silent, watching me. I hesitated, sat down. ate in silence. Halfway through, Haley whispered, "Sorry about what I said. The food thing. That wasn't cool." I paused, then nodded. Connor didn't say anything, but he didn't sneer either. His plate was empty. Maybe the hunger was louder than the pride. Melissa reached across the table, touched my hand. "You're not wrong," she said. "But we need you." "No," I said. "You want me. There's a difference." After dinner, I went back to my room, alone. Later that night, I found a folded note under my door. Haley's handwriting. "Thanks for the charger. And for everything before. I didn't mean to be mean." I read it twice, slid it into my drawer. The next morning, Connor was gone early. Jaden said he'd taken the bus. I checked the driveway. Empty. Checked my phone. No alerts. No stolen keys. That evening, Melissa told me he got a job. Car wash on Main. Not glamorous, but real. He walked there, she said. Said he needed to start paying for gas money. Someday? I nodded. That was all. Friday, I saw Haley cleaning the dishes. Unprompted. No audience. I didn't speak. Just watched. She caught me looking, smiled faintly, then returned to the plates. Melissa tried again. "Do you think we can start over?" I shook my head. No resets. Just reality. She nodded. She understood now. Or was beginning to. Saturday came with silence, but not the bad kind. The kind that feels earned. Jaden and I fixed the shed roof. Melissa made lemonade. Haley played music softly through her phone. Connor came home with his shoes muddy, his hands raw. He nodded at me. Just a nod. But it landed heavier than all his previous words combined. I went to bed that night without anger for the first time in months. In the dark, I whispered to myself, "This is what respect looks like. Not flowers. Not apologies. Actions." No one thanked me outright for the years. The tuition. The rides. The cooked meals and late nights. But they began acting different. And that was the apology I had asked for all along. But I didn't go back to paying. Not fully. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because love without boundaries isn't kindness. The servitude. And I had learned, too late maybe, that you cannot purchase dignity with effort. They had called me a wallet. They had made me invisible. And so I vanished. Only now, when I cost them something real, did they begin to see the shape I'd left behind. The house is quieter now. Not hollow, just quieter. Like a machine that used to rattle with overuse but has finally found a slower rhythm. You don't notice how loud disrespect is until it's been silenced. I still wake up before everyone. The habits don't leave just because the gratitude never arrived. I cook breakfast for Jaden and myself. Melissa makes her own now. Haley fends for herself. Connor's gone most mornings. His part-time job has become more than just a novelty. He walks there in the heat, earbuds in, head down. He doesn't ask for rides. I don't offer. Sometimes he brings home a 6-pack of bottled water or a discount loaf of bread. He leaves it on the counter without a word. A strange sort of tithe. His way of trying to repay what he never acknowledged. Haley doesn't call me Mom's customer anymore. She asks if I need anything when she goes to the store with Melissa. She says things like, "I got it," when dishes pile up. Little things, nothing grand. But it's those quiet course corrections that signal change, not flowers, not speeches. And Melissa, she's different now too. She handles the Wi-Fi. She set up the new insurance policies. She calls the schools, signs the checks, shows up to conferences. Her voice doesn't tremble when she corrects them anymore. She doesn't look at me with that pleading softness, hoping I'll fix what she's too tired to face. She handles her half. For once. But something else changed, too. Me. I don't sit at that kitchen table with hope swelling in my chest anymore. I don't plan surprises. I don't give more than I'm willing to lose. The ledger in my mind is balanced now. Every act weighed. Every gesture earned. And I don't love them the way I used to. That's the part no one talks about. The death of a certain kind of love. The kind that pours out endlessly, unconditionally, believing it will be reciprocated in time. That love died. Quietly. Not with a scream, but with a click. Cancel, transfer stopped, insurance removed. It didn't grow back. What I feel now is different. Cooler. Still. Like standing beside a river that once flooded every inch of your life, and now watching it trickle harmlessly past your feet. Care. But I do not ache. And there's freedom in that. Jaden asked me something the other day while we were changing the oil in my truck. Do you think they like you now? I paused, wiped my hands with a rag. I think they respect me, I said. He nodded. That better. It's the only thing that lasts. He's growing into himself. Stronger. Quieter. I see it in the way he watches people now. He doesn't beg for approval. He's learning that you don't win love by bleeding for people who won't notice the cuts. Melissa came to me one evening, after the kids had gone to bed. She stood in the doorway of the garage, her voice soft but steady. I've been thinking, she said. I kept working, tightening a bolt. Yeah, I was wrong. For a long time. I nodded. You were. I didn't know how much I depended on you. Until you took it away. I looked up. Her eyes were damp. But she didn't look away. I never should have let them talk to you like that, she said. I stood, wiped my hands, met her gaze. But you did. Silence. Thick. Honest. I don't expect you to forgive me, she said. But I want you to know I see it now. I believed her. But belief isn't the same as restoration. You let them make me invisible, I said. I know. You asked me to carry the weight and never demanded they help. I know. She stepped forward, reached for my hand. I let her. I still love you, she said. I nodded. I know. But I didn't say it back. Not then. Not yet. Maybe not ever. Because love is a currency. And like all currencies, it devalues if printed in excess and spent without return. The next day, Connor left a note on the fridge. Thanks for not selling my soul along with the car. I'm trying. I swear. I folded the note, slid it into the same drawer where Haley's apology sat. Jaden saw me do it. You keeping those? He asked. For now. Why? To remember the cost. That weekend I fixed the back gate. No one asked me to. I did it because it needed doing. That's the difference now. I do things because I choose to, not because I'm expected to. That line changed everything. Connor got a paycheck. Bought his own mirror. Bolted it on wrong, but it held. Haley started saving for a used phone. Said she doesn't want gifts with strings. Good. Let her feel the weight of earning. Let her understand the price of free. Melissa pays for groceries now. Not always, but enough to notice. She clips coupons. Checks receipts. Talks about budgets. She even apologized when I picked up takeout for just me and Jaden. I should have asked if you wanted anything, she said. I said, no worries. But I noted the shift. That awareness. We're not a happy family. We're not whole. But we are functional. The illusion has been stripped away. What's left is something simpler, leaner, harder to break. Sometimes, late at night, I sit on the back porch with a drink and stare out at the desert. The stars hang like quiet witnesses. The wind carries no voices, only dust. And I think back to those first months. Full of gifts, effort, blind generosity. I thought I could earn their love with sacrifice. I was wrong. You can't buy loyalty. You can't purchase respect. You can't offer yourself up and expect someone else to value what they got for free. What you can do, what I learned too late, is draw a line. Not in anger, but in clarity. In finality. Because once you draw that line, they can't unknow it. They have to step over it. Or stay behind it. And they stepped over. Not with joy. Not with confession. But with consequence. I don't regret the years I gave. But I do regret waiting so long to stop giving them away for free. So now I ask you, the quiet listener behind this story, was I wrong? Was I wrong to cut off the money? To step back from a family that never stepped toward me? Was I cruel to demand respect before I'd carry another ounce of their lives? Or was that the only lesson left to teach them? Would you have stayed, wallet open, heart bleeding, waiting for a thank you that never came? Or would you have done what I did, close the wallet, lock the door, and leave them with the silence they created? Tell me, what would you have done?